Hello everyone and welcome to our first video where we try celebrity dishes. Today we are doing Snoop Dogg's orange chicken, gluten-free of course. We are going to do the recipe and then we're going to give it a little bit of a review and we're going to give our thoughts on it as we go. 3/4 of a cup of orange juice. You might want more sweetness in what you're looking for. You might want a larger ratio of orange juice. That's one of the modifications we make for having more sauce. 3 tablespoons of gluten-free soy sauce. As Snoop Dogg says in his book, but really kind of burgundy when it says orange chicken, it really is starting to look sort of like a darker color. This is a really soy sauce heavy and sesame oil heavy recipe. 1 tablespoon sriracha. 1 teaspoon sesame oil, 1/2 teaspoon red pepper flakes, 1 tablespoon honey. Snoop then suggested in a small saucepan over medium heat, whisk the orange juice, soy sauce, sriracha, honey, sesame oil, and red pepper flakes. Bring to a simmer, cook to 6-7 minutes until thickened. Remove from heat and set aside. He doesn't really say what thickness he's looking for. That's okay. We can thicken it again at the end. It'll give us less crispiness if it's not thickened enough here, but orange chicken doesn't necessarily need to be particularly crispy. Though we do like it crispy. It just doesn't need that crisp entirely. So the first thing about this sauce is that you're not really making a sauce. This is very accessible to a home cook, but you're not actually making a sauce, right? Like, this is just sort of dumping in a bunch of other sauces into a sauce. I really like the accessibility this has to the home cook. If this is the first dish you've ever made, you're already starting to get an understanding of how to make a sauce, how to thicken a sauce, and how to apply it to crisped up chicken, which is great if you are first learning and this is your first dish. I really do like that about this recipe. Next up is the chicken, where we will have 2 large eggs, 1.5 cups cornstarch, 2 pounds boneless, skinless chicken thighs or breasts cut into 1-inch pieces. The reason why in a situation like this where you might choose to do thighs instead of breasts is thighs are a fattier cut of meat and they will hold up to this cooking process where the meat's gonna get under a lot of heat because we're gonna have to get this batter golden crispy brown to get it sort of crunchy, and then we're gonna have to cook it again in the sauce to mix it all together. This means if you go with chicken breast, it might dry out a little bit more than if you go with the thighs. We're going to go with chicken breast because it's what I had available and for no other reason. Snoop says to whisk the eggs until blended in a large bowl. Place a large bowl next to the eggs and put the cornstarch into it. We're gonna then add the chicken with the beaten eggs and toss to coat. Using a spider or a large slotted spoon, we're gonna lift the chicken from the egg, let the excess drip back into the bowl, and then toss it into the cornstarch to coat. Shake off any excess cornstarch and set aside. As is necessary with almost any step in frying chicken, Snoop Dogg then has you line a plate with paper towels and set aside. Then in a large skillet over medium heat, we're gonna heat the canola oil and make sure the pan is completely covered in the bottom. When the skillet is hot, we're gonna carefully add the chicken to the heat. We're gonna cook for 3 to 4 minutes on each side or until golden brown and crispy. We're going to transfer the chicken to the prepared plate and season with salt. Draining excess oil, again, is one of the most important things you can do in this entire recipe. Make sure that you do it. We are then going to return the chicken to the skillet, pour the orange sauce over the chicken, stir to coat, cook for 2 to 3 minutes to heat the sauce through. This is again going to make us lose some of our crispiness that we've gotten on our chicken. Snoop then says serve the chicken and the orange sauce over cooked white rice garnished with sesame seeds and scallions. Sesame seeds and scallions are always a great way to make a dish look beautiful, and of course you eat with your eyes. More seasoned home cooks might have noticed that I didn't trim any grizzled fat on this chicken. That's because I was following this recipe exact to give you the exact experience that might be happening with these recipes and what can go wrong for home cooks. A big thing that may happen here is a home cook might not trim the fat if not directed to do so, and they might get a sort of chewy piece of chicken. This largely wasn't, but there is, as you might have noticed with those of you with a keen eye, while I was cutting my chicken in this video, a piece of that grizzled fat, and I did get a grizzled piece. But largely, it was still delicious, just not that piece. Snoop Dogg's orange chicken, but more like burgundy. Let's talk about it. The flavor is all there, and it is a very accessible meal to any home cook. If you've never made a meal before, you can start out and you can make this anytime. There's not enough sauce, When you're frying, there needs to be more oil or at least more control in the process. Snoop probably did this for health reasons. You know, you don't want a whole bunch of oil in your diet, but you aren't going to get really crispy chicken. You can actually very easily burn it when you're doing it this way. The all-in-one technique that the recipe calls for does make it a little bit easier, the whole process, and less time consuming. I would also prefer if Snoop discussed why to choose what kind of meat instead of just saying chicken breast or dark meat. I don't think that does any new home cooks who this is very accessible for any favors, because they don't know why to do what kind of meat. Again, this is a super accessible recipe and it does taste good. Overall, I recommend this and I recommend the cookbook. I do recommend this cookbook, From Crook to Cook by Snoop Dogg. This isn't necessarily the best for gluten-free options, as none of these are naturally gluten-free. That's where we step in and we show you where the gluten could be hiding, and we make dishes gluten-free just for you. Thank you for watching the Celiac Kitchen video. Please like, comment, and subscribe.